Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. This is my last one for tonight. This is episode 88, reaction and review. So again, if you hear noise on my end, I'm rewatching the video as I do this video, reacting to it. So there's that. All right, as my wife is messaging me. Here we go. Oh my God. Um, so this is basically, in a lot of ways, this is everybody's reaction to Vicky seeing the ghost of Bill Miller. This is going to be everybody's reaction for the most part. Yeah, you'll have Carolyn, you'll have Roger, you'll have Elizabeth. Um, so, Carolyn, if you don't sit down, Vicky, you'll drive me out of my mind. They're in the drawing room, by the way, in their pajamas. You're positive you really saw a ghost. Yes, I saw a ghost. Actually, I should say Vicky's in her pajamas. Carolyn's actually dressed. I apologize. You call right. That's good. It looks like Vicky's in pajamas. Was the ghost of Bill Malloy, and when she says that, Liz comes around the corner and hears her. And great sell job by Jen Bennett's eye. She's like the shocked look on her face. Great job. Blocking, as my buddy wrote, Petra Craig calls it, and he's right. Good job, Vicky. What did I just hear you say? See. And she told him, I saw a bill, ghost of Bill. That's nonsense. So to be clear, is Liz really a doubting Thomas? I mean, she says she is. She says she doesn't believe in ghosts. And Elizabeth said Roger mentioned David playing a prank on her. He said nothing about a ghost. I think he wants to kill him. He's only a child. That hasn't stopped it before. Oh. She said, but past few days, she wants to leave Collinwood. David has been urging her, and I think they should make him. She had quite a bit of time to think of a lesson. And Roger says he quite agrees. Roger says, I think it would be unwise for Vicky to stay in a place where she's in danger. Would you girls mind leaving? So she's gonna have Roger his answer verbally. That door goes shut. Do you really want to be in there, Jen Bennett? It's Elizabeth. Well, he's like waiting for her. She just walks over like a boss. Just with this swagger. It was a child's prank, the backfired. And then she became pregnant. See, he's sort of telling a bit of a lie. He didn't pass through the door. It wasn't. He says it wasn't locked. It was locked. He doesn't say he used a secret passage. He explains that David said they explored the West Wind. Her and Vicky explored. Him and Vicky explored the West Wind. That's where they ended up. It was a prank. As I wonder what he would like us to believe. And you're not forgetting the fact he almost tried to kill me. I thought we agreed that was an accident. Yes, so we did. There's only one thing. Vicky, or sorry, Elizabeth says, has it ever occurred to you there have been too many accidents at Collinwood? You don't say. You don't say. So this is sort of going to start. This episode really leads to really the whole ghost persona coming to full-fledged life. Really, the previous episode deserves credit for it, but in overall, as we see Carolyn enter Vicky's room here, and Vicky's like, like, I'm just ready to go. So I don't know what I'm going to say. So basically, if you watch the episodes from the very first episode, you hear a lot of mention of ghosts. You hear people gossip, Collinwood's haunted. Elizabeth says, no, there are no ghosts here in a dream. So it's something she's constantly heard her whole life about Collinwood being haunted. So really, the writers have always consciously laid that this house is haunted. There are ghosts in Collinwood. The Collins family have ghosts living in their house. That it's haunted. So, Carolyn, I was out with Bert Devlin. Thought you never going to see me again. I ran into him by accident, the Blue Whale. They're talking about Joe and Burke. So they're talking about Carolyn's relationship with Joe, how she's kept him waiting. Um, Burke wasn't accused. She says Burke wasn't accusing anybody of anything. That was all an act. So Carolyn is really, she's always been falling for Burke. I mean, this is just them reapplying that. And really, it starts with 2 episodes ago when that kiss happened. How can I explain what David thinks he's nuts? So, the writers have done a really good job of consciously building ghosts to the audience, mentioning them. You even saw in an episode there was a ghostly figure in the hallway, between the drawing room and the foyer that Vicky saw. She wasn't sure what it was, and then she did see a ghost. And again, she wasn't a believer until last night. Yesterday's episode. I almost said yesterday's episode, but you get the point. Episode 87. Um, what I have to do is walk out that door and turn my back. Vicky tells Carolyn, "You managed perfectly well for our come along," and Carol says, "No, not." So Carolyn says she's confused, basically because she's confused with her feelings. She wants to like Burr, but Burr hates her family, and, and he's stringing her along. He is. So yeah, this by the end of this episode, you're going to have Roger and Elizabeth in the room Vicky was locked up in, and they find this. Elizabeth finds the seaweed and shows it to Roger. We have ghosts. This is Liz was a doubting Thomas. Vicky was a doubting Thomas. This is Elizabeth sort of wondering, well, do we really have ghosts? She's been saying no, but do we really? And this is the episode where, okay, you have to admit there are ghosts. For all the talk. Liz, I told you all I know, they're in the drawing. I like how they shot this here. It's not just curiosity. I'm really worried. My German said what she's worried about. All you lived in this house when you were a child. Have you ever seen anything you could call a ghost? I'm not sure, Roger says. I've seen and felt things. I couldn't explain something I don't know anything has happened to you because I know better. More curiosity. What are we going to suggest? So now they want to see if there's evidence of what Vicky claimed to see. This is where they're going to find the seaweed. They're trying to think. They were trying to think from their childhood. Is there anything they saw or felt? And they both sort of say yes in a sense. Well, Roger says yes, and Roger says, "Don't tell me you haven't felt the same thing. I know you have." So they're basically confirming, okay, there have always been ghosts here. The rumors are true of Collinwood. It's haunted. But that, to me, this has always been built in the show. The first episode on, the writers have been building this house is haunted. This has never been, in my mind, it's never been a reboot of, oh, there were never ghosts. No, there's, when you're mentioning ghosts that much, there's something there. Yes, seeing is believing, and I believe that wholeheartedly when you're getting into the fictional text. But you can, with ghosts, you can get away with mentioning denial. Someone denying there's a ghost is always a subconscious effort from a fictional character. They can say, oh, "I've never seen a ghost." They can be lying to themselves because it's fictional characters often, writers will, they'll lie to themselves because they're just denying it. Here's Liz and Roger in the West Wind, and he's pointing away. There's a spider web. Big cobweb. It's our cobweb. And You see, they get to the locker room a lot quicker here. They don't show the big extension like they did in the previous episode. I mean, there's no point to do that again. This is found the key on the floor. Locked it. He's left the key in the door. There's Elizabeth and Roger. They're in the locker room. He's didn't know, of course. He did walk through miles of corridor, that's sure. No, I've been a bad dream. No, kind of bad dream. David Strong's, his toy, his books. David's been in this room before. He brought Vicky here deliberately. Alright. Is it suppose? David. Let's do. He knows David will twist this around and make it Vicky's fault. So Roger thinks Vicky should leave because Vicky will be in danger with David. You look very closely. Seaweed. Wet seaweed. You still see Roger's scar on his head. I just noticed that close up where he was where David caused his car to wreck. It's all but gone. It's not going to be here too much longer. So wet seaweed. Still, she's going to throw it in the fire. They're in the drawing room. You suppose what it all means? It was real day to go. Any evidence of ghosts? I think we saw the evidence that we were meant to see. By whom? He's dead and buried. His body's dead and buried, but his spirit roams on. His spirit does not rest. I've heard that ghosts are restless souls, soul that never stop wandering. So, Rogers, do you think there's a ghost in that room? Something was there, this says. How do you account for the seaweed? I don't know. Perhaps David put it there. Didn't Vicky tell you the ghost was the one and covered with seaweed? Yes, but Roger says, I don't know. It's easy to deny it when you don't want to accept the truth, right? That's Roger right now. Vicky is dressed in street clothes now and a dress. Decided right away, does it? Oh, I don't what you were following what it says. Decision is entirely from I understood. At least I think I did. Miss Jones could never begin to take your place here. She could never get there. I don't seem to be. I did blame myself. I did blame myself until last night. Okay. That's what they were. But why? Why ask David? Because he hates me more than I ever guessed. I want to know why. And that's the end of the episode. You don't get the confrontation with David in this episode. Um, and it's not a mistake either. I mean, you have. This has been building up to this here. No, I'm not just talking Ghost. I'm talking David and Vicky's tension and David's tension towards Vicky. I mean, it's the writers have did a really good job stretching this out and stretching it out by using other elements. Roger's car accident, the bleeder valve, um, Burke's presence, Burke giving David a crystal ball, um, everything imaginable. Ghost. Just a great job of making the audience wait for that tension. And episode 89, well, it's gonna be a doozy to talk about that one. But I'm almost to episode 100. Like I said, I'll do an overall review of the first 100 episodes, like what was Dark Shadows by episode 100. I mean, to me, it's always what it has been, a gothic soap opera. So I don't see any difference in what I first saw when I watched this for the first time. So maybe a bit of a preview. So, alright, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. You guys have a great night. Bye bye.